also be a wonderful smile at the end of it. That's what you should have picked up from Dr. Raghurattaya. Right? Okay? So placing the smile at the right point of time is your autonomy. Right? Isn't it? Right? So, in spite something is, puncturing you from the bottom, yet putting on the smile is your autonomy. That's what is more important. Okay? So, let's exercise. Good morning to all of you.
Good morning.
That's good. Thank you very much. Now, coming over to autonomy. Well, Madam mentioned at the beginning, our chief guest is Vice Chancellor. Naturally, guest does not have any autonomy. Guest has got to live in that room, which is shown by the host. Principals have come. They have been given rooms in the guest house, right? But they cannot choose any room they like. They have got to get into that room where the host shows. Absolutely there is no autonomy. Isn't that? Do you have autonomy? You don't have. Do you have autonomy at least at home to speak whatever you like? Really you don't have, because even if you want to shout at your husband, you have got to be careful because children are looking at you. Isn't it? Even if you want to shout at your wife, you have got to be careful because she could be on the internet phone connecting to her mother. Alright? So you don't have, absolutely you don't have autonomy. Right? And then, just now, Dean AA mentioned is not just academy, is Dean Academics, Assessment and Award, AAE. He mentioned that I've been seeing you people talking over phone and giving instructions. Well then, when you have handed over the charge to somebody for 2 days, should he not have autonomy? Why do you give instruction? So where is the concept of autonomy then? Concept of autonomy is not imagination. Concept of autonomy is obviously how and where you practice your republic status, not the independent status. There is a big difference between being a republic and being independent. Freedom is only from the clutches of somebody under whom you are feeling the subordination. So, autonomy, if it means the freedom, you are away from the subordination to a certain extent. However, being republic is to find out how we can cooperatively keep moving forward with our agenda, with our principles, and in the way we like the most. That is all. Alright? All of you are complaining about JNTU, that JNTU does not give you autonomy in even deciding the syllabus. Okay, I shall give you total freedom. Even if I give you total freedom, towards the end, the common denominator of completing so many credits to get a BTech degree still remains common. Common denominator, how much pharmacy has got to be taught, has got to be still common. If I take up computer science and engineering, however much I give autonomy, can you do away with the course called data structures? Can you do away with the course called, algorithms? If you are doing a mechanical engineering, can you do away without thermodynamics? Alright? So, the first criterion of autonomy is developing a very positive attitude. And most important criterion is not just developing the positive criterion, developing an attitude where negativity shall not rule you at any point of time. That is exactly what I mentioned earlier. You should row, and at the same time, you should smile. So rowing is positive attitude, smiling is suppressing the negative attitude. Right? That is all is autonomy. Where is, you tell me, where is the situation you have not enjoyed autonomy? Recall the days when you were very young. Did you not have autonomy in telling your mother that you are hungry? Right? Did anybody prevent you from telling that you are hungry? Did anybody prevent you from telling that I don't like this taste? You might have still eaten that, but still, you might have definitely told I did not enjoy this food today. Isn't it? Right? Now, obviously, anybody is free to speak anything, but given an opportunity, when your wife is present on the occasion, will you speak whatever you like to? So the autonomy is always governed by the self-imposed, not restrictions. I'm not telling restrictions, by self-imposed quality to improve the autonomy. Right? The qualitativeness in utilizing the freedom is more important. Well then, India did not get freedom just like that. How many freedom movements happened? Starting from where? Starting from long ago. The Indian independence movement is at least 100 years old. At least it is from 1847 to 1947. Isn't it? But ultimately, when we got freedom, did we really get freedom? We have surrendered the nation to the dirty politicians. Right? Where is autonomy then? Some people perhaps would tell that we were more autonomous when Britishers were here. I mean, even, if they were grandparents are still alive, then they would definitely tell that we were more autonomous. But then, ultimately, autonomy is how you learn to express. Autonomy is in expression. Who does express? Obviously a faculty member. Where does he express? In the classroom. If he learns how to express whatever has got to be covered in the class in his own way, then autonomy is achieved. I don't need a dirty teacher in the classroom just to reproduce the sentences which are printed in so-called dirty textbooks. I need a teacher that could really interpret what the subject is and who could really make a candidate to think independently on the subject. On the other hand, how many of us have not inculcated the bad practice of telling that this derivation is the most important derivation on earth? Have we not told that? Where is autonomy? Why do I need you to tell that this derivation is important? Why do I need you? So autonomy is in your expression. Autonomy is under any bound and responsibility. Did Gandhiji not have autonomy when he delivered his lectures? Police were watching him, British were watching him, and the press was watching him, Right? He was imprisoned, but still he wrote from being imprisoned. That's what is autonomy. Alright? So autonomy need not imply that JNTU does not give this, does not give that. Because in my days, I also started the career. In our days it was called lecturer, assistant professor and professor, equivalent to assistant professor, associate professor and professor of today. I also started my life as lecturer. But I was very terribly, ferociously autonomous. I was so ferociously autonomous. మీకు ఎక్కువ చెప్తారు పర్వాలేదు కూర్చోండి అంటే అది ఎక్కువ పర్వాలేదు How can other animals be పర్వాలేదు? So I was just telling that I also started life like any one of you as lecturer, but I was ferociously autonomous. I was so ferociously autonomous because I told my principal, look here, you don't have any control on me in how a question has got to be set for a test which is for internal assessment. Do you have a control? You don't have. Do you have a control how he has got to present the class in the classroom? You don't have. If you are really trying to manipulate all these things, you are curbing the autonomy of the imagination of the teacher. Let him be autonomous, but the framework under the autonomy has got to be spelled out. Right? Well, who told you that the test question paper which you are going to conduct for the internal assessment should be of the same pattern as the dirty pattern of JNTU for the final examination? Who told you that? Did anybody tell that? Did any Vice Chancellor tell that? Did any regulation tell that? Don't tell me. They cannot tell that because it is the fundamental right. No Vice Chancellor can do such a mistake. Alright? So, there must be autonomy there, and there is the originality. That is the difference between a teacher and a teacher. Alright? The way he does, the way he creates the problems, that makes the autonomy. Right? Autonomy is obviously your ability to interpret the subject independently. Right? That is what is autonomy. I'm very sure there is no reason for you to curse that JNTU does not give total freedom. We also don't have total freedom. Nobody has total freedom. Any responsible person shall definitely have any total, lavishing reason to enjoy life. If students have got freedom, do they also have the freedom to skip the classes? If teachers have autonomy, do they have autonomy not to make their own timetable and take the classes whenever they like? Right? So, the unbounded boundary has got to be defined. That is what is autonomy. Right? Okay. So, having said these things, all that I am trying to tell you is, don't try to just conduct an examination to ensure that your results are 100%. You have got to conduct an examination so that a student who undergoes that examination shall be able to assess himself It is not you are assessing him. Immediately after writing the answer, immediately after writing the answers for the question paper, he has already assessed where does he stand. You are just confirming him that this is where you stand. Yes, he already knows that. The ability, if you can build up in every student, that he himself could give a feedback to himself, that is the ability of your teaching. Did you get it? The most important thing is, can I learn to talk to myself? Can I learn to talk to myself and advise myself on how I have got to teach today? Obviously, you are autonomous. And reciprocally, similarly, can a student talk to himself after every examination whether he has really understood whatever has been learned? Right? Learning, understanding, implementing, and carrying forward the idea. Carrying forward the idea for later living. This is all. That's what is autonomy. Well then, as Dr. Sharda has very intelligently mentioned, that there shall be a longer session later. We shall wait for that. However, I again re-emphasize, because Dr. Lavagattaya has come now, Dr. Sharda was very intelligent and very cunning in telling that I am the guest. So shall a Vice Chancellor remain always a guest, without having any freedom and without having any autonomy. Okay? Thank you very much. So don't get bothered with small details like displaying the flex. What is that? Vignan, Vice, all first 9 ranks. These are all meaningless. If there are 100 hotels in your city, you should be competent to start the 101st hotel also. Because naturally later people would understand that taste in this 101st hotel is entirely different from the taste of 100 hotels. Right? Therefore, the whole point is, enjoy your freedom in thinking, be inventive, be innovative. It's not just being inventive. You've got to be innovative in its execution. That's all. Okay, but you have got to be inventive all through. Okay. You have one very good practice which I have got to mention, which I'm sure Dr. Sharda, Dr. Professor P.M. Rao is sitting over here, Professor Sampath, all of them will endorse. However important it is, I shall not carry my mobiles even for any meeting. I don't carry. My secretary is also sitting over here. I have given the freedom to him to attend the calls and tell the Vice Chancellor is not available. Okay? Because autonomy, the freedom to think works when you are not disturbed. So when I got to focus on certain thing, why is this diversion? After all, if the news is good, it shall reach by evening. If the news is bad, it is bound to reach you. Why we should be worried about it? If my wife is going to die, a phone call will not save her. She will definitely die. Right? Right? If I have got to die, no phone call to my wife will save me. Isn't it? No. Let us be practical and let us be realistic. Alright? Okay, this is good practice. Vice Chancellor does not carry the mobile to any meeting make somebody else also think I should not also carry the mobile for the meeting because Vice Chancellor does not bring the mobile. Okay? It not only makes, it makes the higher ups also. I've seen that. The higher ups, if I don't take the mobile, higher up also will start thinking. He will also hand over to his assistant and then come inside the room. Right? Okay? Because the way we percolate the education is not through classroom, not through oration, but by practice. Alright? Okay? So the title of the talk could be Transforming Policy. Policy is there, but transforming the policy into actual happening. Pragmatic reality. Into actual happening. That is where I am very proud. This is my third institution where I am implementing the new method of assessment. Much before 2020 at IIIT Allahabad, I had introduced whatever I am going to speak now. Much before that, 10 years before that, I had introduced it at Department of Studies in Computer Science at University of Mysore. I was the first one amongst all the chairpersons who told Vice Chancellor that I shall not have board of examiners for my Department of Studies in Computer Science. Chairman side, my Vice Chancellor side was went very high. What do you mean? BOE statutory body. Sir, your Honorable Vice Chancellor, who said BOE statutory body, sir? You're not aware of the act. Right? Then he got confused. I showed him that a BOE would always be in conjunction with the Board of Studies. Right? It is Board of Studies which decides how the things have got to happen. Why do I need an exclusive BOE? I want to make all teachers totally autonomous. I want them to set the question paper on the morning of the examination and bring and issue the question paper. Why do you give a freedom to a teacher to set a question paper 20 days earlier, 1 month earlier, and give him the freedom, give him the flexibility to leak the question to some known people? You ask him to set the question paper only 10 hours earlier. Everything will happen. You don't need to worry. Okay, he said that is at your risk. Then I told him, he is not a leader who does not know how to take the risk. That is all. That's all. So every teacher has got to be a leader, more so principals, more so heads of the departments. Okay, so the title is very clear. Transforming polity into pragmatic reality. Naturally, in the perspective of, basically we are talking about professional education now here. Okay, in the professional education like pharmacy, like engineering, we are talking about it. Vis-a-vis National Education Policy 2020. Okay, so what's National Education Policy? Dr. Ramakrishna indirectly mentioned about National Education Policy. National Education Policy, how many of you have gone through this document? Out of curiosity. Okay? Okay. How many pages are there in this document? Hardly 76 pages are there. Not at all. The original document of National Education Policy was 500 and odd pages. The refined policy document was of 74 pages. The introduction, the preamble itself is about 4 pages. Preamble is 4 pages. And you read that preamble, leave it, read it second time, read it third time, read it, and then it will keep on giving you newer and newer ideas. First time I read it, I used my highlighting pen. And second time I read it, again used a different highlighting pen. Now if you go through my document, every line has been highlighted. Okay? Whatever the lines which were not highlighted previously were highlighted now. Every line is highlighted. So wonderful the document is. In fact, people always used to ask me the question, why this national education policy was chaired by a space scientist, Dr. Vignan? Why not the Vice Chancellor? Why not, people, a person who has practiced this continuous assessment? I told, a space scientist can be able to look at the earth from a height. Other than an academician would be able to look at education from a higher perspective. A space scientist would be able to do it much better. That's the reason why national education policy, this national education policy of 2020 sounds more scientific, more effective than the earlier recommendations, although earlier recommendations were very good with respect to the time existing then. Right? So the earlier national education policies were also good with reference to the time frame then. Right? So now, the most interesting part is the primary education. The primary education spans from section number 1 up to section number 8. Of course, without reading that, you cannot really understand higher education. However, you can always skip section number 1 to 8 and come straight to higher education, which is in section number 9. So section number 9 is higher education, specifically sections 9, 10, 11 and 12. These are the 4 sections of higher education. Alright. Section number 15 is on PhD education. Of course, I shall not be touching on that. And more so, section number 15.9 is how the coursework of PhD should be designed. Naturally, section number 23 is technology use and integration. And section number 23 had a independent body also. Luckily, I was also a member of that body. That was blended education. Okay? So, all that NEP is trying to tell is only philosophy, nothing more than philosophy. All that it tries to tell you is a strong stress on continuous assessment, not on my language, stupid examinations. I have always been telling, not now, ever since I started, Dr. Hoji mentioned that my PhD was in 1988. I think most of you, some of you might not have been even born, 1988, okay? Alright. So, from 1988, I have been telling examinations are stupid. Why 1988? When I was a BE student, also I was telling that examination is stupid. In fact, I used to ask the teachers, do you mind if I don't attend the classes? Because the teacher's ego would always be hurt. But I would definitely tell them. Some teachers had the courage to ask, why you don't want to attend the class? So I think it's a waste of time for me. And some teachers accept it. Right? Right? And I have to tell you one example. I was a student at Vignan Technology, and as a master's degree student, I got to mentor 4 undergraduate students. Every master's degree student has got to mentor 4 undergraduate students. There was one student who was attached to me. In Vignan Institute of Technology, it is not semester scheme in those days. It was trimester scheme. 3 terms in a semester. And that was the final trimester. This boy of mine goes to examination hall, reads the question paper, throws the question paper on the table, walks out of the examination hall. Professor K.M. Roy was head of the department. He called me. Naturally, this is the problem in the entire family. When the child commits a mistake, husband calls wife and tells it is your child. What is this? This boy is doing like this. You are not taught him properly. Isn't it? Right? So I knew that this is the same thing which is trying to happen. Luck, your mentee. He has no discipline that he should sit and write the examination also, and you tell that he is very intelligent. Look, he doesn't have the basic discipline also. Yeah, obviously I got to accept because the professor came, big man, and after all I am a master's degree student. So I was back into my hostel, and I knew that he is going to come. I don't need to send words for him. I knew that he is going to come. So he came in the evening. I did not talk to him. I said, okay, welcome. I did not talk to him. Then he asked, sir, are you not going to talk to me? Well, I'm here to talk to you. Tell me whatever the things you want to tell. No, I'm not going to talk about the morning's instance. Why? No, I don't need to talk. Now that you have commenced, you tell me whatever you want to tell. Right? He told me, after reading the question paper, I felt it is below my standard to answer this question paper. It is such a stupid question paper. It is not the question paper of Vice Institute of Technology standard. So I just wanted this to be conveyed to the head of the department. That's the reason I did not write. Were you not worried about your marks? Were you not worried about your grades? I asked. I need not. Because the first 2 terms I have got enough and I have already ensured my distinction position. Therefore, even if I do not answer this, it is not going to make a big difference. But I have understood this subject. How many of your students have been brought to that level? How many of your students? And the basic mistake in the type of question papers you set, you take it from me that you want them to fill up the answer books. You will set such stupid, useless questions where even for 2 marks, you want them to fill up one entire page. Because you want to be wrongly convinced. You want to get yourself convinced that I am giving away the marks because he has returned so much. Right? You have not even audited your question paper in terms of how much time is really required for the candidate to think, organize the answer. I have seen particularly, excuse me, ladies, I have seen particularly girl students, even without reading the question paper, they start writing the answers. They start writing the answers. And of course, boys cannot do it because even after reading the question paper, they will not understand what they have got to fill up. At least these people have a lot of things to fill up and boys will have to see what they have got to do. Right? But then, you set a question. Most important is auditing a question paper. What is auditing? Auditing is time auditing. Not marks auditing, time auditing. How much time is required? Let's take an instance, okay. The question paper is for 100 marks, good. How many hours? 3 hours or 4.5 hours, 3 hours, okay. 3 hours means 180 minutes. Alright? In that you leave about 5 minutes, 6 minutes for settlement and about 10 minutes for an initial perusal of question paper. Practically think only 150 minutes will be available for the answers to be made. Then 150 marks for 100 marks. Then for every mark, how much of time is there? 1.5 minutes, isn't it? Have you ever thought about it? 1.5 minutes. And in that 1.5 minutes, how much should he think for 1 mark? No, we have not thought about it. How much should he think? See, thinking has got to take, even at the last stage, like writing an answer. What to write has got to be thought. Your question should be so provocative that he has got to think, organize and put it. So thinking and organizing is a mental exercise, and in that 1.5 minutes, at least 0.5 minutes should be spent on thinking and organizing. The person whose handwriting speed is very fast can be able to translate it within 0.5 minutes, and he can still say 0.5 minutes, and a slow writer will write it leisurely. Right? Isn't it? So we have got to think. So now we have got to build it up. If it is 5 minutes, how much time? I have already given you. Right? So 1 minute, 1.5 minute is 1 mark. So 5 marks, how much time? 10 marks, how much time? 20 marks, how much time? This is the first exercise you have got to do, because today you are autonomous. And today you are autonomous, and you know the relative capability of your institution. You are not setting a question paper for JNTU, which has got to set a question paper for a below average student to pass the examination. More so, you can always set a question paper and don't go for absolute valuation. Who asked you to go for absolute valuation? You go for relative valuation, which Professor B.M. Vignan later they are going to tell how we follow the relative valuation over here. Go for relative valuation because you are autonomous. Nobody is going to ask you. Right? So, most important is every question, every component of the question, which is for a tune of, roughly speaking, 10 minutes, question should involve 15 minutes, 10 marks question should involve 15 minutes, 20 marks question should involve about 30 minutes. Alright? So 15 minutes, he should not write for the entire 15 minutes. He should think, organize for 5 minutes. And then he has got to demonstrate that I have been able to think. Writing is not writing from the memory. Writing is to express that I have been able to think. Writing has been to express that I have understood what I have written. This is my authentic statement, not a statement borrowed from somebody, not a statement borrowed from a textbook, not a statement which I listened to the teacher in the classroom. Right? So, he has got to display that I have understood. Right? And that is the reason why my boy in BTech boy told me, this is below my standard to answer such a stupid question paper. Right? In fact, I always used to tell my daughter also, you say in your language courses like Telugu, English, Kannada, there should be one part. Reproduce this poem from memory. Right, isn't it? So first word will be given, last word will be given, dash. Fill up this, right? So my daughter said, this is meaningless. Do you think it is meaningless? I asked. Yes, Papa, why should I by heart? If you think, don't do it. That's all I said. Papa, mommy will be worried about mommy. Why are you worried about mommy? You think what you want first. Okay? I never allowed her to by heart any poem. But I told her, you should understand the poem so very well that the line should automatically come, not from memory, but because you have understood what has got to be in that poem. Isn't it? Right? Right? Isn't it? Okay? So, I never allowed her to by heart. In fact, she was in a CBCS school. The principal was very good. He telephoned me, sir, your daughter does not attend specifically this question. All the answers in English are very beautiful except for the 8 marks question, which is on reproducing the poem. I told him, I am aware of that. Sir, may I come over to your home to discuss? But he did not call me, of course. That was the beauty. He was talking to me because I was in JSS system, and that was a JSS central institution. So naturally the protocol said that he has got to meet me. Okay, so I said, most welcome. He and his wife came, and I explained, I am not a language teacher. I don't have a BA, MA and PhD in education. But I am only an engineer, but this is what I understand. He went back and changed the entire question paper. No questions were asked on reproducing the poem till my daughter left that school at least. Or till he was principal. Right? But now look at your question papers. Look at your engineering question papers. Look at your pharmacy question papers. The question papers are all memory dependent. Bloom's taxonomy, from remembering up to creative application, your Honorable Chancellor was also mentioning that should be covered proportionately. What to remember should not be remembered by the student. He should lead that to a question. What he has got to be called. Okay, you should not tell what principle should be applied here. You should set a question in such a way, can this principle be more appropriate for this? If you agree, okay? If you do not agree, tell me what should be the alternate principle.